How long was it on?
3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
I got to do stand-up on it.
Until we had a similar moment to Stephen Colbert's moment, which just happened to him.
Yeah, what's your take on that?
Well, before, I mean, having had it happen to me.
Right.
We were doing this bit called Little Bill O'Reilly. So we had this kid, and it was just this little kid doing direct quotes from
that.
like Bill O'Reilly.
I remember that.
You know, and
It was a funny bit.
we'll do it live. But he was this high, and it's, you know, went viral, whatever that meant back then, and it was the #1 clip on Hulu. And I knew Roger Ailes knew about it, and Bill O'Reilly kind of knew about it. I remember he was supposed to be on some morning. He was supposed to be on The View one morning, and they said, when we come back, Bill O'Reilly's going to be on. We're going to ask him about this. And it was little Bill O'Reilly. And I was in the gym going, holy fuck. And they came back, and they did not mention that sketch. And I went, oh. And I called Mike, the producer. I go, we're in trouble. And there was one version of that sketch that had some really... They were a little too close to the sexual harassment that he had been accused of doing that got him fired, right? And it was a rough cut. And someone at the network sent it to Fox News. And it was shortly after we were taken off the air.
Really?
Yeah. And then, you go back and you go, hey, remember that meeting a year ago where, you know, I was sitting with some Fox executives and they were like, you know, I know George Bush is funny, but to make fun of, but why don't you be the guy that goes after Obama?
Right.
And I was like, well, I'm not going after anybody. I kind of reluctantly poke fun at folks who kind of step in it. And what would the take be there? Because he's not really making news weekly. The other guy is. I'm not political that way. I'm just.
Who's asking this of you?
I think it was Ligori and some of the other Fox folks. Yeah,
the top
but
people.
what he's saying in the moment, and he liked the show and he liked me, and I think what he was trying to do was communicate very tactfully what he had heard from the power center, which would have been Roger Ailes.
Right.
Like, hey, tell your guy to calm down.
Right.
Meanwhile, I had hired half the Daily Show writing staff, so because they're great writers. And they're like boom, boom, boom in the monologue, and I'm like, great, these are great jokes. You know, I loved it. So it was never destined to stay on that long. And it wasn't until after we were canceled that I heard from New York Magazine that they said, you know, we heard the real reason you got canceled was your Fox News stuff, your Bill O'Reilly stuff.
Right.
Which now, fast forward to the Stephen Colbert thing, makes perfect sense, because all of the excuses you're hearing about Stephen Colbert from the network, they're losing money. I heard all of this back then.
You did?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. You know, it's any show, any production, any feature film has issues like this.
Right.
That's not why
they're all losing money until, there's always, right.
There's a list of things they have ready to say publicly. This is why we're not doing this.
Right.
This is why we're not doing Batgirl. This is why we're canceling Stephen Colbert. They're losing money. But if you know anything about television, especially with respect to Stephen Colbert, a guy who's succeeded for a network like that is not taken off the air in that way. That is not the way that goes off. That guy or that show goes off the air.
Right.
It's something different. It's Johnny Carson. It's Leno. It's, even David Letterman. There'll be a moment where the network will sit down with you and go, so what are you thinking, Tom? Another year, another 2, another 3. What are you thinking about? Mm-hmm. We have this other fella, Spike Feresten, behind you.
Right.
We're not going to give him the show, but what are you thinking? And that's the moment where the writing is on the wall.
Right. But they're respecting you enough to say,
you've done a great job for this network. We would never in a million years cancel you overnight. And use the word cancel.
Right.
We're going to give you some time to make this announcement to your audience. Mm-hmm. And however which way you want to do it, and you just let us know. And even that timetable is kind of open. That's how it works.
Right.
That's how we all know it works.
That's right.
That's how you know CBS and Paramount is full of shit right now. They're full of shit.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you go back and look at what Stephen was saying, especially, the words bribery and Paramount and CBS.
Right. Well, they're
that
making this deal
a few weeks ago.
Right. While they're putting together this deal.
Right before, and suddenly he's gone. Like, to me, that's exactly little Bill O'Reilly, and some comment that's a little too close to the sexual harassment accusations.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's just like, just get rid of this guy.
Just go.
Yeah, just get rid of him.
Is Jay Leno right?
About?
He says that you don't talk politics and come down hard on one side because you're not splitting the audience. But is he also right because? And he says it's because people want to escape.
I think he's talking. I think he might be talking about his stand-up. I watch him.
No, he would talk about that with his late night show.
But he did political comedy.
But on both sides, he would always keep it. You know, he was very careful, and he even just came out just last week to say it again. I just think that you don't do that in that space.
Right.
If Colbert had played by the rules of just that kind of comedy, let's take his stance out of it. If he had just split, would he still be on the air?
No. You got to do your show, whoever you are.
Right.
I mean, I understand Jay's point, and I think it's kind of muddled up in. I mean, this is such a unique comedy situation. I've never seen a situation like this before. I remember writing Dave's monologue and going, all right, the elections are coming up, so get ready for 6 weeks, the Clinton jokes.
Right.
They were just going to do that. And then nobody's going to think about politics for the rest of the next 3 years. It's
amazing.
Whatever. Oh, Madonna jokes.
Jeff
Galooly or some dumb Buttafuoco.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's whatever story's in the paper. That's how you're kind of writing. But now we live in this crazy, hyper political interest age that's never been seen before. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
And if you're doing a late night show, how can you avoid that? You couldn't. You have to talk about whatever's happening.
Yeah.
And you have to find the humor in it, wherever that lies. Again, like reluctantly poking fun at whoever's making the news.
Yeah. And if that one guy's making all the news.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
I don't know how you could avoid it, because you end up being not relevant. You end up being like,
Yeah.
you're just not talking about what's going on. Why am I watching you?
Yeah. You wouldn't have changed what you didn't when they said go poke at Obama or do this other stuff.
I would call Fox executive Preston Beckman and say, do not send this to Roger Ailes and Bill O'Reilly, please.
Right.
They're not going to think it's funny, you idiot. You fucking idiot. And I say that with no love, Preston. Zero.